our life.
But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not.
The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed in quite right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's.
Staring down from a cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm-lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stocking,
He snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here.
Then he growled with his Grinch fingers, nervously drumming.
I must find a way to keep Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early and they'd rush for their toys.
And then all the noise, noise. That's the one thing he hated, the noise.
Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast.
And they'd feast.
They would start on Who pudding and rare Who roast beef, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small,
Would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing, they'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing.
And they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of the Who Christmas sing, well, the more the Grinch thought.
I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must find a way to stop Christmas. But how?
Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick. With his coat and his hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer is scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop your Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said.
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
so he called his dog Max.
Max, come immediately, Max.
Some red thread, and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and settled on old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and hitched up old Mac.
Then the Grinch said,
Giddy up!
and the sleigh started down towards the homes with the Who's lay snooze in their town.
The windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care.
When he came to the first house in the square,
This is stop number 1!
the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist.
Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch.
Hello.
He got stuck only once for a minute or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue.
With the little Who stockings all hung in a row,
These stockings.
he grinned.
And first things to go.
Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present.
Hot guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums.
Then he stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox, he took the Who's feast, he took the Who's pudding and the Who's roast beef.
Hey, you're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders, you got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I'll take the seasick crocodile.
icebox was quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even stole that last can of her hash.
Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now,
Went the Grinch.
I'll stuff up the tree.
And he grabbed a tree and started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and saw a small who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by a little Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water.
She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
but you know that the Grinch was so smart and so sleek, he thought up a lie and he filled it up quick.
Wait, my sweet little tot.
The fake Santa Claus lied.
There's a light on this tree and it won't light up on one side. So I'm taking it back to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here.
And his fib for the child, then he patted her head and got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with a cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up.
Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself without light. On the walls he left nothing but roots and some wire.
Yo!
And the one speck of food he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses.
It was dawn, or the Who's still abed, or the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled.
Packed it up with the presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings.
3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode to the tip-top to dump it.
Hoo-hoo to the Who's.
It was Grinchishly humming.
They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. The bells will hang open for a minute or two. Then all the Who's down in her row will cry, boo. That's your noise.
Grinned the Grinch.
Can I see what I must hear?
So he paused and the Grinch put a hand to his ear.
And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very.
He stared down at Whoville, the Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise.
Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming, it came. Somehow or other, it came just the same.
And the Grinch with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
And he puzzled 3 hours till the puzzle was sore. And then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't thought before.
Maybe Christmas,
He thought,
doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light.
and he brought back the toys